I'm not lying. This is 4 years worth of my life. And if you were to ask me, was it worth my time? The answer will always be yes. This is one of the best decisions I've made. And in this video, I'm going to be giving you 5 lessons I learned from my over 4 years of experience, over 600 pages written, and telling you in detail, is it worth it? The short answer is yes, but we'll get more into that. And lesson 5, the last one I'll have, has been an extremely important game changer, which has really helped out my mental game. And we'll get to that. But before that, we have to ask the question, why do we even journal? Well, like, what's even the point? And here's what got me started. Freshman year of high school, I had big dreams. I want to become a big YouTuber. I want to grow business, whatever. I would just dream big. I would think of all these crazy ideas, things I could do, but I never took action with them. Even worse, I completely forgot all of the ideas. I still don't really remember most of them. But why did that happen? I just looked this up recently. We have 6,000 thoughts a day. Over 6,000 individual thoughts go through our minds. And guess how much we retain? In 24 hours, you will have lost 50 to 70% of what you thought the previous day. What? That's insane. And there's a reason why I was struggling. You know what? I have all these ideas. I need a place to write them down. And that's where journaling first started. I wanted to document my ideas, document things that I wanted to do, document my hopes for the future. But I ran into a problem extremely quickly. How am I going to record every single thing that happens every single day? It's impossible. So what do? Let me tell you what I tried. I would write every single thing that happened on every single day for max 2 days in a row, and I would stop journaling for 4 months. And that was rinse and repeat since like 2nd grade. So I've been doing this for a little while. I was not consistent at all. I kept thinking too big. If I can't write everything that happened, then I might as well write nothing that happened. But there's a switch that happens, and it's what led me to over 4 years of journaling. What happened is I switched from wanting to record every single thing that happened, so like a history book, to just getting things off my mind, which at the time, it was just like crushes on girls. That's basically all I wrote about, at least for like the first book. That's pretty much all this is. But you know what? It worked. I was calmer and I could come up with ideas quicker. And I understood, you know what? Journaling doesn't have to be a massive log. It can just be documenting what I'm thinking, or documenting my secrets, or documenting who I have a crush on. Simple things like that. But, and you'll see a theme, I ran into a problem. I still didn't feel like I was documenting enough. You know, that pressure, you should be documenting everything. You can't just write about your crushes for an entire book. Okay, you can, but I wanted to document more. I wanted to still do the history thing, record everything, but I knew that wasn't practical because I tried it. It was my sophomore year. I would try to write every single thing down, and guess what happened? Yeah, I took 2-month gap periods between every 4 entries. It was completely inconsistent. I feared that just writing my thoughts down, my crushes, my secrets, my hopes and dreams was not enough. But now looking back after 4 years, I would say writing down my thoughts has been extremely more beneficial than recording my entire day would have ever been. Because first of all, it was extremely interesting to look back and see this is the way I used to think. This is the things I worried about. This is how my mind used to work things out. But also, and this is the extremely important part, that you need to write this down. The second that you start free flowing your thoughts is the moment you become consistent. Because you can try documenting everything you've done today. I've tried it. It doesn't work. You just need to write out your thoughts. But guess what? We ran into a new problem, and that problem is lack of motivation. I'm sure you've dealt with it before, and it can be a real Debbie Downer, because by my junior year, I was still on this book. Look how thin this is. This took me 3 years to write. This took me 3 months. Like, what happened there? Well, the answer is this book, I had very little motivation to write. I began skipping days, not writing, and then all of a sudden I'd feel guilty for not writing. So then I would skip more days. And it was a never ending cycle of me feeling guilty, not writing, feeling guilty, until I came to the conclusion, and it was extremely simple, like most problems are. You just need to write 2 sentences down. For instance, this journal entry is literally 2 sentences long. But because I no longer feared writing whole essays, whole pages, I would just write 2 sentences. And then the next day I'd write 4 sentences, and then 8, and then 16. And all of a sudden, I'm back to my 26 lines a day. Sometimes days you're just going to want to write 2 things, maybe even just 1 thing, but it shouldn't stop you from writing down on that page, even if it's small, because suddenly you find yourself writing more and more and more, and you become consistent. And journaling doesn't become something you have to be motivated for, but instead it becomes something you're just consistent with. It's a habit at that point. In order to beat motivation, you must transform journaling into a habit. But then I ran into an extremely big problem, and this is where lesson 5 comes in. My big problem was problems. It's big, it's massive. And the thing was, I would keep coming up against the same exact problem over and over and over again. One for me is procrastination, not necessarily in the sense of just procrastination, but I would have big dreams. I would set unaccomplishable goals for myself, and then I would do nothing but doom scroll because they were too hard for me. Now, there are many things at play here, but what remained consistent was me doom scrolling. It was, I want to do something great. I set too high of a goal. I'm too scared to try and do that, fear of failure, and then I would try to escape through YouTube. How do I know this? The answer is journaling. Because I wrote down my thoughts, I would also write down my problems. And because I wrote down my problems, I realized we make the same mistakes over and over and over again. And if you can begin to document and remember the mistakes you made in the past, and then even better, the answers you found for those mistakes, you begin to move a lot quicker. You begin to understand, oh, this is the area where my mind struggles. You basically gain wisdom. And now that you are able to use your mind to its highest capacity, you can do even better things than you ever thought before. So in essence, by journaling, I was able to not make the same mistakes over again. If you never want to make the same mistakes again, comment the word journaling in the comments below. I'll respond to you. Keep me updated on what's going on. Also, if you're just a college freshman, I'm gonna be figuring out all sorts of problems. Like I said, I try my best. I still make the same mistakes over and over again, but I do it a lot less than I would have if I didn't write down my life. But I appreciate you guys staying to the end. Please, if you are interested in journaling, I 100% recommend you just start today. Just pull out a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be pretty. My first journal was a complete mess. It took me 3 years, and then it took me 3 months. So even though the best time to start was maybe 4 years ago, the second best time is today. So I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Seize it, and Godspeed.